You talked about not wanting to be the weak link in the game, pretty much all offseason. You guys take a big step forward. How would you assess how the defense has done so far this season?
So far this season?
Yeah.
Well, there's been some good, not so good. So, I think we're still on our way. Don't think we've arrived in any way, shape, or form. We certainly had some good moments where we played some good defense and done some pretty good stuff. But there's also plenty of times where we know we gotta be able to do some things better. So, not unhappy, not thinking we've solved all our problems yet, but feel like we're it's trending going up anyway.
What was it that allowed them to kind of rise to the occasion in those late moments against Oklahoma after struggling earlier in the game?
Yeah, well, I don't know that we always struggled, but there was some. But I think it was now or never. You had to stop them, and in the after that interception, so we basically said we just got to respond right now. We had timeouts. They couldn't get a first down, and we played a defense that was we're either going to stop them or we're not, and we ended up stopping them. So that was good. And then obviously we scored, which is awesome. And then we had to go back out there with 50 seconds, and still there's some they threw a long pass. It was a little bit fluky or whatever, but we still had to go out there and win the last two plays, which we did. So I feel that was a really positive thing for our players, because I don't know that would always or has always happened for us. I think there's been some times where we've come out on the short end of some of those things. So against a quality opponent in a big game and being able to do what needed to be done to win, I think that's good for our confidence for sure.
Brian, when you watch Iowa State, what do you see?
Well, I see a team that is offense that is really improving. I watched them early in the year, and just looked like there was some struggles and some things, and I think they're a pretty young team. I think they're starting to get it figured out, and who their personnel is and what they can do, and putting them in good situations to be successful. So I feel like they're sort of like Oklahoma State a few weeks ago, where I feel like they're really week by week feel like they're improving, and so it's going to be again all we want and all we can handle, and then some. So it's going to be nothing less than the best we have if we're going to hang in there and win that game.
What stands out about Rocco, the Iowa State quarterback?
What is it?
What stands out about him?
I feel like he's a pretty competitive kind of a gamer guy that can make some things happen. Pretty active, got a decent arm. I think that he's good moving on the run and things like that. So they're much more, or have been much more out of the pocket kind of a team than some other teams that we probably played. So I think he's a good quarterback. I think they're asking him to do certain things, and I think he knows what those are, and he's executing whatever they're asking him to do. He's doing a pretty good job of it here lately. I guess he's kind of indicative of what I think their offense would be, which is really growing week by week and improving. So he's a good player.
Brian, how confident is your defense right now, and how much does that factor into your job, and does that make it easier?
Well, I think we're confident. I don't know that we're overconfident. Again, as I talk to our players all the time, it's this week's game is no less big than last week's game. And I really think that's how, if we're ever going to be really a championship program, you need to have the same approach week in and week out. So, which I think has been a little bit. We haven't always been able to do that. We haven't been able to follow up a quality win with another quality performance. So I really try to challenge our guys every day about it's good to be confident. It's good to gain confidence from confidence building situations, but yet we've never arrived. There's always more to attain, and there's always things we can do better. So the last week's win is going to mean less if we don't go out and win this week. So just trying to get our guys to I'm saying they don't understand that, but make sure that that's the approach that we go here. And we can't afford to go up there and be flat or uninspired or just kind of feeling like we're just going to kind of roll out there and things are going to happen. That's not the way it is in our program. So, so again, I think we're confident, but yeah, there's still more out there for us for sure.
I think 24 points per game allowed in the home games this year, 34 in the road games. What do you feel like has been the difference in those two?
Yeah, well, I don't know that we've really played awesomely well in any road game this year. So, yeah, it just could be just the fact of traveling, I guess. But if I could put my finger exactly on what that was, I would tell you. I guess that was my point here, is we just really need to approach this week with the same focus and energy and intensity that I knew we had last week. I could tell we were practicing really well, and guys are locked in and ready to go. So we got to kind of keep that laser focus here, and hopefully this week will be a little bit of a change up for us, and in that way that we'll we can't stumble out of the gates and fall behind, and that would be a bad recipe for us. So we're gonna go up there and play as hard as we can and as well as we can, and hopefully we can get out of there with a win.
You mentioned having seen the indicators of that intensity last week. Just what things do you look for in that respect?
Well, you just kind of tell by the practice, the quality of the practice, right? So there's a difference between just getting through and really striving to improve. So I try, we talk all the time, like, hey, the reps that you get in practice, let's do it just perfect as the way it's supposed to be, regardless of who you're doing it against. Apply your technique and go through your read and your keys and your progressions, and just do things right consistently and build good habits, so that when you get in a game, it's not like new to you. Like, I haven't really been, performing this way all week long, and all of a sudden now I'm going to try to do it on a Saturday. That's just not how it works. So, I think and I could tell, like last week, guys are locked into that stuff. I can't say that we're not locked into that stuff this week. So, it's the daily attention to detail that it's kind of one of the cornerstones of what we're doing around here, program wide, and we've got to make sure we're doing that on defense also, because again, we're not, we don't have all the answers just yet in every way. So we better pay attention to detail and do things right daily.
Coach, what's the difference defensively between defending third or fourth and short and a 2-point conversion?
Well, I would say a 2-point conversion, oftentimes teams would be more diverse, a little more. Teams would throw a little bit more, try to be more spread out, kind of that kind of stuff. Whereas if it's just purely a short yardage situation, most teams are gonna be a lot more run heavy and that kind of stuff. So we basically we go back over like the last 2 years if we can, and hey, here's all the 2-point plays this team has had over the last 2 years. I think that teams have a finite number of plays they want to run. So we try to kind of know what those are, and we'll work on those at a point during the week, and then we do the same thing for like short yardage, and so most teams aren't going to run 3rd and 1 or whatever, 3rd and short. They might run quarterback sneak, where in 2-point play you're not going to run quarterback sneak. So I think teams tend to be a little more tricky and a little more pass oriented on 2-point plays than they would normally in just a normal short yardage situation.
Anything else, Coach?